Hello, everyone. I just wanted to jump on for a couple of minutes and introduce you to the Maritalpreneurs Podcast. And I hope that you find something on this podcast that is the one key you need to move the vehicle of your business or the vehicle of your marriage forward to its next destination, which I hope is an amazingly rich and wealthy legacy. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about Maritalpreneurs, and then a little bit, hopefully, about the Maritalpreneurs podcast. So my name is Natalie Elliott. Nice to meet you, Natalie A. Elliott, to be more specific. And I worked in corporate America. I was in sales, and one day I was actually in auto insurance sales. So pro tip to anybody, sell something that's required by law, like auto insurance, and you'll have a wonderful career. So let's see. In that field, I was feeling like, man, I'm not in my purpose. I'm just not operating in my purpose. There's something more. I'm not using my brain. I know there's something more. And the job was starting to feel like golden handcuffs. They wanted us to stay at this desk Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays from 10 to 2. And I felt like, I don't know if I can do this forever. And Saturdays were mandatory from January to April, tax season, where everybody's buying new cars with the taxes and everything. So I started praying for my purpose. And in praying for my purpose, I felt called to be a marriage and family therapist. And it just happened in the middle of the day one time. So I had started having kind of nightmares about people getting divorced, including my parents. And I was in the office and somebody came to make their payment, their auto insurance payment. And so they were trying to make their payment. And I was trying to ask them, did you work on what I told you to work on with your marriage and with your wife? And did you read the book I told you to read? And they were like, Natalie, I don't have time for this today. And I was like, oh my gosh. He was like, you just got to take my payment in. I got to go to work. And so I took his payment. He went to work. He leaves. And then I say out loud, oh my God, I need more time. I need a whole session. Like this trying to do marriage and family therapy, like, on the fly. And I'm selling car insurance. It's not working. And then it was like, oh my God. And it's like when I said those words out loud, it was almost like a cartoon where words flew out my mouth and they solidified in the air and they came back at me like a boomerang. And it was like, oh my God, y'all, I'm supposed to be a marriage and family therapist. And it was that clear. Okay, now because I had been studying purpose and was having the nightmares and everything. And I remember that T.D. Jakes said in a sermon one time, whatever bothers you the most is probably what your purpose is. And I had been bothered by people getting divorced. I didn't realize it, but then it was like, oh my God, this bothers me. And still to this day, I just got finished, that one of my friends, her daughter is struggling in her marriage right now. And I spent about 48 hours ruminating over that and thinking, okay, how can I help them? And in therapy, we try very hard not to like cross personal boundaries and therapy boundaries. So I was really just left to pray for them, and hopefully I can give them some. I don't know. So we're going to try to get them to some good professionals and everything, but it distressed me. And so I'm still distressed by marriages that are hurting. People are hurting in their marriages. So also, as part of studying purpose, one of the books that said, ask your parents, what do you think? What do they think your purpose is supposed to be? So I asked my dad, and I was like, hey, I'm praying about my purpose. What do you think my purpose is supposed to be? I'm reading a book and it says that, maybe you saw something in me as a child. And he said, when I circled back around to him. Now I had already felt it like in my heart, like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be a marriage and family therapist. And so he said to me when I circled back around to him about a week, 2 weeks later, like, hey, did you ever come up with anything for me? And he said, baby, I think you're supposed to be helping me with these marriages. And I was like, oh my God. Because he didn't know what I knew already, right? And so I was like, okay, Lord, I hear you loud and clear. Now, at this point, to me, it felt like it had been confirmed 3 times. And I went to grad school. Now, mind you guys, I flunked out of undergrad And so when I finished undergrad, it was by the skin of my teeth. The idea of going back to grad school, I didn't think they were going to let me in. And they did. And the guy who let me in, I will never forget. He was like, "You are an anomaly. I don't know how you got into this program. I don't either. But hallelujah, praise the Lord, I'm in." And because this was my purpose, because it was so important to me, because I was switching careers, because I had carpal tunnel in my arms from typing all day on the computer, I think I made all A's in my grad program. And I remember arguing with a teacher because she gave me a 97 when I knew I corrected what she told me to correct last time she gave me a 97. And so I fell in love with the information. I fell in love with helping people. In my grad program, and I'm sorry, I'm giving you guys a long story. In my grad program, I had a teacher who was a sex therapist. And I took her, she was actually my group counseling teacher, but she was so phenomenal and pushed me so much that I took her human sexuality class. And then I was like, oh my God, no wonder I'm not married. Nobody told me any of this regarding sex and sexuality. And so I graduated from that program. I specialized in sex therapy. I opened up my sex therapy practice, I think in 2010. So we've been going strong since 2015. Now I have a staff of 6 or 7. And I only usually take on like one new clinician per year so they can really get acclimated and I can really spend the time teaching them couples therapy and sex therapy. And along the way, something shifted for me. And I noticed 2 things. A, that traditional couples therapy didn't feel good anymore. It felt like cookie cutter. It felt like I wasn't getting real work done. I didn't like the assembly line of like, okay, 50 minutes up, you guys got to go. See you in 2 weeks. I didn't feel good about that. So I started looking at intensive models and like, how could I spend good quality time with the couple and really get breakthrough? All right. So that's humping in the back of my mind. And then I had one session that I really didn't like how it went. And so I was like, okay, I don't like being confined like this anymore. If we have a problem, I don't want to be, oh God, our time is up. And if I had more time, I would use it, but I would have another client in my lobby. And so it's just like, I got to keep it moving. So I started looking for something new. And then one night it dawned on me, or I started realizing when entrepreneurial couples came in that I would light up, that it would be so fun. And if I had them at the end of my day, that the session would be 2 to 2.5 hours. Because we would do the marriage work for like an hour, maybe an hour 15. Like we would get whatever we needed to get done. And then we could talk about the business stuff. And it was so exciting. And so I remember this one particular couple, because they would drive in to see me from, I think, North Georgia somewhere. And so their sessions were always at the last one, and they were an entrepreneurial couple. Both of them own businesses, and to be able to talk about everything and how the marriage shifts impact the business and how the business impacts the marriage, like it was so exciting. And so from there, I really developed what I call the Maritalpreneurs Weekend Intensive. And then I started researching entrepreneurial couples and how they're different. And also, somewhere in here in the story, my fiance broke up with me. And that rocked me for about 2 years. And some of the reasons he broke up with me for is he didn't agree with any of we were thinking about opening up a business, and he didn't agree with the business. He didn't agree on so many things. He didn't feel listened to. He didn't feel supported. He had a particularly rough week at work. But before going into that week, we knew it was going to be rough. And he was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to be available to you. I have this week coming up. And so I worked and he worked. And it turns out that he felt really abandoned during that time period. And I thought, hey, we're just working. You're working on your dreams. I'm working on my dreams. Like, we good. We'll reconvene once we get this week over with. And I felt so good about that. And I was good. And he felt kind of abandoned during that time period. And I was like, you didn't explain that. So it really got me thinking, like, how do you run a business? How do you be in alignment in a business? How did I miss that we were so not on the same page? okay, because I'm a person of faith, and I try not to bring my faith into my actual counseling sessions, but because I'm a person of faith, um, it I can't work without including my faith from time to time. But I do try very hard, not in a counseling session, not to bring my faith in. But one of the things that, as I was kind of groping for answers, that I came up with is this Bible verse that says, "Write the vision, make it plain, so that they that run don't faint." And I was thinking, we didn't have a shared vision. And really, I think what was happening is I'm very clear about what I want. I'm very clear about what I need to do to make that happen. Is I had a vision, and I don't think it was a shared vision. And he was a person who wasn't as clear. He wasn't a go-getter like I am, and he wasn't as outspoken as I can be. And so it really got me thinking, like, how do I do that in my relationships? How do I make sure eight of my partners listened to and heard? And it really highlighted for me the need for us to have a shared vision and shared buy-in. Now, simultaneously, I'm doing couples therapy. And I have a lot of entrepreneurial couples. And so I started to hear differently. One of the things that I heard a lot of couples with my entrepreneur is one person was in the business, one other person was in the marriage, and the two might never meet in the middle. A couple of times I heard one person says, the business is so big and I always have to help with their business. There's no room for me and my goals and my dreams. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's the way my partner said. So with that, and then of course, training in couples therapy and seeing all of the other things, the communication issues and everything, I developed a 7-point curriculum for the Maritalpreneurs Intensive Weekend. So we start with vision and goal setting. And we started with vision and goal setting for the lifespan. And part of that is making sure that the couple is reviewing their vision and their goals once a quarter so that we both know what we're doing. Now, in business, in community, countries, organizations, huge. They will tell you a unifying factor is a shared vision. So those of you guys, if you can remember our race to space, that, Kennedy put out the gauntlet, the big goal. We're going to make it to space, and this is what we're going to do. And it was a unified joint effort. And so when you have that, my research has shown me across the study regarding marriage I did and the business that I've been studying. So right now I'm studying high-powered, high-performing teams. And my goal is to make sure that we have all of the things that make a marriage work and all of the things that make a great business team work, and that we infuse them together and give you all of that in this transformative, immersive weekend. So that's the Maritalpreneurs framework that I've developed. And so let me tell you just a little bit about that real quick. And so first, we talk about vision. I call it vision and velocity, because once you really have that vision, like really detailed out until age 100, then you guys can move faster and faster and faster because you're so clear, because you have a roadmap. So decisions are easier. And research shows that the longer you plan out, the better short-term goals you make and choices you make. So vision and velocity. So what is it? Vision and velocity. Then we talk about leadership and personal leadership and personal accountability and personal growth. There's no way you're going to have a great business if you don't grow. And there's no way you're going to have a great marriage if you don't grow. And so we talk about that. And so we talk about data-driven delegation. Separate out the parts who's delegated and letting your partner do what they're supposed to do, and you do what you're supposed to do, and talk about that in agreement. Let's see, we talk about intentional intimacy, which is how do we not let the business affect our intimacy and not let our marriage affect our business. And so we talk about that. We talk about creating systems that work for the business and the marriage, and creating SOPs, specifically around finances, because the top 5 reasons for divorce, sex and money, are in the top 2. And so we make sure we address money. And it's so funny. I've had so many couples that when they didn't have money, they got along great. And now that their business is making money, now they're fighting over business. They're fighting over money. And they just never thought they'd be that couple. But when you start making a good amount of money, Now we got choices. What should we invest in? What we should do with the money? And so it's a whole new understanding vocabulary. Money issues come up from childhood that show up in a very real way. Some people's money issues actually don't allow them to hold on to money. And so there's this constant like up and down in the business. We're up 1 million, we're down 1 million. We're up 2 million, we're down 3 million. And so we'll tackle some of those. So those are the highlights of what is in this framework and the things that we talk about when we do this immersive weekend to really bring about transformation and change in marriages so that this legacy builds. So my research indicated that entrepreneurial couples have a 75% divorce rate. And in a divorce, you can lose up to 77% of your wealth. That's major. And so I really want to address that. And this podcast is one of the ways that we do it. So I'm going to do a series of things in this podcast. And so some of the things that we're going to do is I'm going to interview couples. I'm going to interview some industry experts about marriage, about business, about systems. Maybe we'll talk about some books that should be read, books that I'm reading, things that I'm learning, things that I'm trying to apply and figure out how do I get this book to apply to marriage because it has some good things in it. We're going to talk about real case studies, real people, what they're doing, how they're solving their problems. So I'm excited about this podcast. I'm excited to get it out there to you in your hands. I'm excited to serve this population because those of us who are true entrepreneurs, we've been entrepreneurs. We can't stop. And I've actually had a client sit in my office and say, Natalie, I think I got to give up the business. I don't think my marriage is going to survive this business. I've heard people who said it came down to it and I couldn't stop the business because that was my only source of income. And I have felt that too, of not being able to stop, not being able to figure out how to get out of it. And so there was a time last year, I'll tell you guys, there was a time last year when I wanted to walk away from it all. And I sent a text. I sent a text to 4 prayer warriors in my life. And in the middle of the day, like I am in the middle of a session, and I wasn't going to make it through the session. And I texted my prayer warriors and I was like, you need to pray for me right now. Don't call me. Don't text me because I'm working and I can't break down right now. But I'm not going to make it. And I got to have a new career and I need to get out of this. And so they prayed. They probably all stopped what they're doing and praying because it was such an SOS. And I think I cried my heart out on my lunch break and then I finished my day. Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in here a minute and talk to you guys when, where, how that have a marriage that's struggling right now. So you're not making it up. Running a business is hard. Being married is hard. And doing them both at the same time is very, very hard. But you are not alone. So many entrepreneurial couples tell me they love each other, but the stress of the decision making, the finances, the not being aligned, it just is hard and it pulls stress on the marriage. But the truth is, you can have both, but it takes intentionality and it takes some skills. And so what I want to offer you right now is a free marriage clarity call with me so that you'll get the skills you need to build a great marriage. So one of the skills that you need is just this one simple, powerful tool, which is when you are having a conversation with your partner, say, hold up, before I answer, who do you need me to be right now? Do you want me to be your business partner or do you want me to be your marriage partner? Because the answers may be very different. So adding that one powerful tool in there will start to transform your conversations. And when you transfer your conversations, that is like that 1% pivot that now will have the marriage wind up in a different destination. So get on a call with me at marriageclaritycall.com. In that call, we're going to figure out the one biggest challenge you have. We're going to make out a simple plan for it to get you success in your marriage. Again, that's marriageclaritycall.com. I can't wait to talk to you. You can have a great marriage and a great business. out on my lunch break, and then I finished my day. And then one of my prayer warriors called me that night and kind of got me back in the boat. But it was real serious. And I was like, I don't know how, when I built a career for 20 years, when I built my name in a career field for 20 years, when I've specialized in something for 20 years, how I'm going to walk away and start all over and do something else. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't. And I was like, what do I do? And so I know for some of you guys that are sitting there thinking about, do I need to give up this business to save my marriage? But then what am I going to do for money? We're in it too far. I know what that feels like. And I don't want that to be a thing for you. And so if you haven't done a marriage clarity call with me, please do a marriage clarity call for me. If you're not ready to talk to me, I get that. Then go to maritalbizquiz.com. Marital Biz, B-I-Z, quiz, Quiz.com, and fill out that assessment. And that, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that thing for like 2-3 months to make sure. It's about a 10-minute assessment. It will tell you what areas you're doing well in and not doing well in. It will give you practical things you can do to make your marriage better. And so I promise I am working to get you the tools that you need. So if all else fails, and you need help now, the Maritalpreneurs Weekend Intensive, I only do that a couple of times a year, and I only take a certain amount of couples. But if you need help now, then go to atlantasextherapy.com, and any of my clinicians should be able to help you. So find one in your price range that you like and work with. And they're all trained in sex therapy, but they're all trained in therapy first. Like, sex therapy is a specialty. So they're all good quality clinicians. So that's it. I look forward to serving you on this journey. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoy the podcast, and have a great day. And I'm wishing you the best for your legacy. Hi, guys. I so hope that you enjoyed the content that I presented here today. It's a joy to do and to put out. Okay, now I'm going to ask 3 things from you. 1, if you are a couple, a committed couple, and you guys have an entrepreneurial component, I'm going to ask you to go to maritalbizquiz.com, maritalbizquiz.com, and fill out the marital assessment. When you do, you are going to get a report that's going to give you action items that you can take action on and make your relationship better today. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you like this content, subscribe, comment, share, spread the word so every entrepreneurial couple will have a chance to improve their relationship. Number 3, if you know an entrepreneurial couple that would be great for me to interview, that you know they're doing some things right, if you would, give me their information. So you can put it in the comment, you can send us an email, get us that information, and we'll reach out and we'll interview them. But again, so glad that you guys shared this time with us today, and hopefully you got something that you can take away from it. We look forward to serving you in the future. Have a great and wonderful day.